Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Mondays with Matt. Matt, I'm going to get your advice on something. I want you to think of me as everyone listening and watching and just kind of advise through this. Let me set this up. Whether I'm a school that has 20 million bucks lined up to buy a new system, ERP, SIS, whatever, or whether I'm a school that doesn't, right? There's really only two camps. You have some advice on where best to spend the money or how best to spend the money. So I want to get your perspective on it because what I'm observing over and over again across the industry is schools rushing to go from their banner system or their PeopleSoft system or whatever it may be to the cloud because they believe student cloud is the solution. And it may be, right? You believe that someday everyone will be there. But the issue right now is they're jumping from a hyper customized system, whichever brand it was, to the cloud, which is highly standardized. And they're making a decision to move, not realizing how customized their system are, how dependent their people and processes are to that system, and going, okay, let's sign a contract, and in 2 years we'll be in the cloud. And that's one of the reasons I believe all these implementations are falling apart at the seams. You wrote an article about it last week. There was a lot of chatter about it. My belief is it's because they're not going through the people and process transformation to go from a highly specialized, highly personalized system to something that's standardized. So that's the problem. The problem is I've got money to spend. Where should I spend it and how should I spend it? Or we don't have the money to spend. We won't have it for another 5 or 7 years. How do we make best use of what we already have? So with that in mind, give us some advice.
Yeah, and this is a really good topic. And the reality of it is there's both camps. There's people that have the ability to invest in an initiative to transform a campus, and then there's people that do not have that investment. So any type of investment is really important in thinking through it. And then you made the comment about campuses operating in a very customized way, and the cloud is much more standardized. That is very true. But I look at this as an opportunity. And when I talk about the opportunity, you have to wear what I call a future of work lens. We need to think about what the work of the future is, using the advancements of today. Cloud is not necessarily the advancements of today. It's really transactional process that allows a campus to be reactive. The way we have to think about it, and we have to start living it in our campuses the way we live it in our world. We need our interactions to be proactive. And this is the opportunity that wearing a future of work lens allows you to do that. And when we think about this as a higher ed community, we have the opportunity to really reimagine how we serve our students, how we interact with our faculty. We have to really think about, what is the way that we think about the new experiences. I think the opportunity that we have is going to be using workflows and concepts like that I think is going to really drive different type of change. And the best way for me to explain the concept of workflow, when we hail a ride, the workflow has changed when Uber told us, hey, this is a better way of hailing a ride. We didn't just reinvent a taxi dispatch system. We reinvented hailing a cab, and that was a different workflow. Our workflow is different even in the way we buy and consume retail and groceries. We are in a different workflow. Well, this is the opportunity that higher ed has. We are at a stage where we have to change our workflows. When someone requests a transcript, we have to change the workflow. When someone changes a major, we have to change the workflow. When someone comes to orientation, we have to change the workflow.
So here's a
Yeah,
question, Matt. You're saying we don't just have to do like some business process optimization to make the workflow more efficient. You're saying we have to kind of take a blank slate approach to the workflow the way the Uber example you gave or ordering groceries now is completely different, right? It's not, oh, how do we make ordering groceries a little bit more efficient? It's the game has changed.
yeah. And that is the point, right? We are still operating in the 90s when I ran a registrar's office. A registrar's office operates the same way on campuses, and I was with a president last week, and he said, yeah, my registrar thinks like the 1990s. And I think this is the opportunity for innovative registrars to say, how do we interact when someone is thinking about a major change. When someone is considering sending a transcript, one, we need to understand why they're doing it, and we got to
Hmm.
be interacting with them. The old day of go get your catalog, fill out a form to decide what courses you take, what major you should become, I want to transfer somewhere else. We have the ability to be very proactive in that journey of that student that I think is really important for campuses. But today, a lot of times we're still looking at it as a transactional campus. And so we put in a cloud system that standardized transactions. And I'm saying to people, spend less. I'm not telling you not to do an SIS. I'm not telling you not to do it. You need to do it. But if you're going to go spend millions of dollars, let's reimagine the workflow, add the next generation technologies through it. And this is that whole future of work lens.
So I think that's the point, right? You're saying, look, some schools that have the money are going to go buy their student system right now. Others are going to wait 4 or 5 years because they have to wait for the resourcing. But in either case, the point is, before the implementation of this new student system begins, there's got to be a time from I've made a decision to do it to actually the implementation starting, because the implementation is going to be traditional. It's going to be 1990s style implementation, right? Roadmaps and workbooks and all the kind of stuff, which just the vendor needs and their SI needs. But that has nothing to do with what the school needs to do prior to that to reimagine these processes and do some of the things you're talking about. Look at things through a future of work plans, re-engineer business process, re-engineer workflows, and then take that new way into the cloud or wherever else you're going, right? And so is this how much time should a school allocate in their mind for this transformation, the people and process transformation, before their technology transformation?
Well, you certainly need to spend time, and everyone's school is going to be different. Some schools may require 3 years. If you're complex and you
Yeah.
have 10 schools and you have 10 different ways of managing those colleges or divisions, it's going to take you some time, of course, right? But if you are a community college that recognizes who they are, where they're
Single
going,
location, let's say.
single location, maybe a multiple location, you could do this in 8 months. And when you start to define experience and engagement with a campus, it moves that student's journey through a frictionless campus. And that's when you'll start to see it. And that starts with the future of work lens, that starts with workflow, that starts with reimagining the outcomes. And then I also think you have to decouple the things that an SIS shouldn't do anymore. Just because I did it in the 90s inside of an SIS, I may not need prereqs inside of an SIS. Just think about what I just said there.
That's right.
I may not need prereqs in an SIS.
Because
Why?
AI is way smarter
Eh,
than an old SIS. Yep.
Yeah, because the rules of a prereq is human design from a catalog, and you're putting that out there, right? But the real purpose of a prereq is to ensure your students are prepared to learn the content of that class, be able to absorb information. Well, to really understand that, it's more than did that person take a course before. There's aptitudes, there's ways of seeing, does this person have the ability to navigate in this course?
And I think so that's the point, right? The point is you can't go from we have the money, let's jump, sign a contract, and implement something because you're going to get the same old thing. And if you don't have the money and you're in very limited resources, you can't sit there and say, well, we're stuck with what we have. Nothing's going to change. Woe is us. In both cases, there's an opportunity to transform people, process, and technology around the SIS and deliver an experience today that students are expecting. You don't have to wait 5 years or 10 years for it. It's available today. Just like you said, just like with groceries, just like with getting a ride, that technology is on the shelf and available now. And schools need to start looking into that rather than worrying about will we be able to process a transcript or run a
Yeah.
report a little bit faster, right? That's the point.
And Joe, we support our current client base is putting in new cloud systems.
Yeah.
Our client base is thinking about going into a new student transformation and thinking about technology. What I'm saying to people is you got to do what you have to do to make your campus more operationally efficient. But man, the opportunity, if you are a leader, is the opportunity to say, how do I do that really effective? Wearing the future of work lens, using workflows, taking advantage of all my investments in my technologies, and maybe adopting some next generation technologies that's proven in market because you're using it in your consumer days. How do we adopt that into a campus so that your students thrive, your faculty can do what things that they need to do to teach, staff need to focus on their capabilities to serve students and give them empathy and critical thinking as opposed to managing lists. And that's what
Awesome.
we're really thinking about as we move forward in the next generation of future at work.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Matt. Mondays with Matt. Keep those comments going and keep Matt engaged in conversation over the course of the week. We see you all next time.